CHRISTUS was already in Las Colinas. They had gotten to a point where they were in massive expansion mode. So they were going into South America, they were going in Central America, they're going in really acquiring and building hospitals all over the southern United States and continuing to build and build and build. That was their headquarters in Las Colinas, but they had offices all around DFW. So they were really trying to consolidate their presence. Part of what they were trying to work towards in this new building was bringing people together, give back to their employees as part of this project.
Their existing building in Las Colinas is just a block or so away from this new space, and they had outgrown it, and they wanted to have their own space and build their own building and make it really something that their employees would love to come to, that would feel the appreciation and the respect that the leadership has for them. And it worked, because as often as we're out there, we constantly are hearing how much they love the space. And they work with BOKA Powell, was the design firm on this, so they were very intentional with, we are doing this for our growth, but for our employees. They are just as valuable to us as anything else that we do.
So the process usually starts with the customer approaching an A&D firm, and from there they really start to work with the client and go through the phase of design called programming, which is when they do a deep dive into how much square footage do you need for this task, how much square footage for this group of people, how many conference rooms, really understanding the user's wants and needs. Going through programming with the A&D firm then leads into the RFP stage, which then the RFP is sent out to a couple of dealers in the area. We did have to go even through a mock-up phase, which is a great solution because the end user then wants to see what the true furniture looks like in the end. They want to be able to walk around it, get into it, touch it, feel it, and really understand, is this the product that I'm willing to invest not only all this money, but all my time and effort and energy into my end users? Is this good enough for my employee? And so being able to see all the furniture itself in place was a huge tool for us, making sure that we give them exactly what they're wanting and looking for.
Early on, they made it very clear that they viewed this project as holy ground. That came out at the very beginning of our planning when we started talking about an actual religious space on the first floor of the building. We were trying to take that into account into what their vision was, that this wasn't just your ordinary project. This was truly trying to show the employees a way to connect with work and religion.
Based on past experience on other larger projects that we worked on, we knew that you can't just have a regular team on it. You've got to have an expanded team. They each have to have a very specific role, and they have to play that role. And that's kind of where I come in. It's like, all right, this is what you need to work on. This is what we have to accomplish this week. What do you need to get that done? And you can't just have one designer on it. We had multiple designers working on this. We had one that was dedicated only to the private offices. We had one that was dedicated to just the workstations. We had one that was dedicated to all the ancillary. The further you get into it, the easier it all gets. And it starts with CHRISTUS. They lead this because they're the client. And they set the tone, and they set it from day one.
One thing that was very unique about this project is that we were involved so early on. And when you have time and you're able to have conversations with multiple layers within an end user, you really get to program in a different way. You get to curate every piece of furniture. You get to really customize the look and feel of different areas, different private offices. A great example of that is the executives. Each of the executives had a fully customized office built directly for the way that they like to work. So we didn't have one typical, which is very traditional, where you have one style and you multiply it out. Every single typical was completely customized for the executive class. And as you worked your way down, it was a different style of expected working. And we got to interview a lot of people through this process. So it wasn't just talking to one person at BOKA Powell or talking to one person at CHRISTUS. It was talking to many people throughout the process. We actually took the entire executive team up to Chicago to the Merchandise Mart. What having that experience with your end user does for you is they get to see a ton of different furniture all in one centralized location. So the Merchandise Mart is where all of the contract furniture manufacturers, not all of them, but most of them have a spot, a showroom, a venue, something like that in the Merchandise Mart where you can go see what they have to offer. That was a big part of making sure that this project, every single piece of furniture was built, planned, strategized directly for each area within the entire project.
They wanted it completely individualized, all the way down to the accessories, the pillows, the frames, the blotters, anything else that was in there that could have made that space their own. It was very personalized.
It's very thoughtfully done and it's beautiful. And when you can come to work, it's not like Cube City. They do have like 1,800 workstations or something like that, but when you can come and you can sit in a spacious and you have a height adjustable table and it's a calming, the finishes and everything that BOKA Powell picked out, they really took time and thought, and then we partner with them on bringing that aesthetic they want into the furniture.
We definitely took all of the programming that BOKA Powell did, and we utilized it not only into the furniture itself, but we wanted to make sure that even the finish palettes were complementary, and that was probably the biggest tie-in. We wanted to make sure the project was really big on no black, very earthy, very light tones, very clean, very modern. And as you walk through the space, you really start to see everything pulled together because there's so many different manufacturers. It's just so cool because, when we were here in the showroom and we were doing our own space, it was crazy because pillows, you wouldn't think that they make such an impact. But then you go and you put them out and people are like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden it's, sitting back and being a bit more lax and, oh, it feels like home. Pillow install alone took 3 days between my other designer and myself. It really makes you appreciate just how big this project is and seeing how literally every detail was thought out and making sure that the CHRISTUS mission and values were carried all the way through.
They've got the chapel downstairs. They have an on-site clinic. They have an on-site workout area. They have some beautiful outdoor spaces where you can sit and just have a quiet moment. They have a little coffee bar, like a mini Starbucks kind of a place when you walk in. Every floor has their own break room that's open air. Every floor has the most beautiful views. It's 15 floors and you've got balconies and you've got wonderful seating, and the aesthetics of everything that we were able to put in there they want to be there. They want to be there.
I think that the way that they design their office space sets a tone for everybody that walks into that building, that they invest in their people and that they're very people focused. You go through the lobby and you see the history of CHRISTUS. You see where they started, how they've run their company, how their company has grown, why it's grown. You get to see the full story as you go to the elevator to get to any floor. Then you go to a floor and you see some of the most beautiful, well-placed, well-organized, most curated furniture that you will ever see in a full building. You get that feeling no matter what floor you work on, that you're not just a number. You're walking into a space that was built to empower you to feel like this is something different. This culture, this environment, this area was built for me.